Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening everyone. So today we are going to continue with the second lecture of topic 3, which is the application of definite integral. So this is topic 3. Okay, the subtopic 3.2, which is the application of integration in economic and business. Okay, so let's see what are we going to learn today. So at the end of the lesson, students should be able to find the revenue and cost function from marginal revenue and marginal cost function. So we have the marginal function. Now we want to find the original revenue and cost function. And then find the market equilibrium point. So the short form here is MEP. And the third one is to sketch and label consumer surplus and producer surplus. So we have consumer and producer. So the consumer is our customer lah, and then the producer is the producer or the factory or everything we think as a producer, and market equilibrium point. So we want to sketch and label all these three lah. And then determine the consumer surplus and producer surplus region. So it depends which one is the part of the consumer surplus and which one is the producer surplus region. So revenue function. So as we know, for any demand function y equal to fx, where y is the price per unit. So this function, the demand function, is the price per unit and x is the number of units. So the price function in terms of number of units functions, and the total revenue r is the product of x and y. That is why revenue function Rx equal to xy, which is x multiplied by function y, which is f of x. So every product multiply with every product that been sold will be multiplied by its price. So how many products we have sold, so we need to multiply with the price now to know what is the revenue. Marginal revenue with respect to demand is the derivative with respect to x of the total revenue. So we differentiate the revenue function to get the marginal revenue. So dr dx or r prime x is the marginal revenue function. Thus, the total revenue function is the integral respect to x of the marginal revenue function. So we have the marginal. To find the revenue function, what we need to do to apply the integration. So integration respect to x. So the revenue function r of x is equal to integration of r prime x respect to x. So we just have to integrate back the marginal revenue. Remember, the relation between differentiation and integration is just the reverse of differentiation. Okay, and since the integration of r prime of x respect to x is equal to r of x plus k, y plus k, because we will have a constant, this is indefinite integral because we don't know what is the limits given. An initial condition must be specified to obtain a unique total revenue function by integrating the corresponding marginal revenue function. So we need to know what is the initial condition. What is initial? It's mean when we didn't sell anything. If we didn't sell anything, means that our x, the x here is equal to 0. So the initial condition that revenue is 0 if quantity is 0 is frequently used to evaluate the constant of our integration. So we will given the revenue. Okay, the initial condition, usually if we didn't sell anything, we didn't get anything, right? So usually it's r of x is equal to 0 will be 0. Okay. So for example, let's see example 1. The marginal revenue function for a company's product is r prime of x equal to 50,000 minus x, where x equals the number of units. So x is the quantity produced and sold. If total revenue equal to 0 when no units are sold, determine the total revenue function for the product. What does this mean? Total revenue is 0 when no units are sold. So the X equal to 0. So this is the initial condition where R of 0 when X equal to 0 is 0 equal to 0. Revenue is equal to 0. So R0 is equal to 0. So that is the condition. So we have R prime of X, which is the marginal revenue, equal to 50,000 minus X. So to find the total revenue function, we need to apply the integration. Okay, so as we said earlier, R0 is equal to 0. So what is the revenue function? So we just have to integrate the marginal function. So the marginal function here is 50,000 minus X. So integrate 50,000 minus X. So we have 50,000 X minus X squared over 2 plus K. So you have to put this plus K first. And then we apply the initial condition. We know when X equal to 0, R0 equal to 0. The revenue equal to 0. So substitute X and let the Rx equal to 0. So 0 equal to, so let's say if we write this down, so we get 0 equal to 50,000 multiplied by 0 minus 0 squared over 2 plus K. So here is 0, here is 0, so K is equal to 0. Thus, the total revenue function for the company's product is equal to Rx equal to 50,000 X minus X squared over 2 because K equal to 0. Okay? So this is always true for revenue because we don't get anything if we don't sell anything. So cost function. So what is the difference between revenue and cost? So if the total cost Y of producing and marketing X unit commodity of a commodity is given by the function Y equal to C of X. So this is a function Y. Then the marginal cost is Y prime, or which is equal to dC dx or C prime X. So this is the marginal cost function because we have function Cx as the cost function. So that is marginal cost is the derivative with respect to X of the total cost function. Thus total cost is the integral with respect to X. The same as revenue, we have to integrate the marginal to get the original cost function. So the marginal cost function, that is Y equal to integration. So the cost function is equal to, or Y is equal to integration of C prime X respect to X. So we get Cx plus K. We have the constant because this is an indefinite integral. Okay. An initial condition must be specified to obtain a unique total cost function by integrating the corresponding marginal cost function. So frequently this specification in terms of a fixed cost or initial overhead, that is the cost when X equal to 0, C of 0 equal to K. So why it's different from revenue? So for cost, we might have the cost even though we didn't sell anything. Okay, so for example, the cost for the factory itself, and then for the workers itself. Okay, so we need to use the money for the cost. So we will have the initial cost usually. So where K is the fixed cost. This fixed cost is the cost that we need to pay even though we didn't sell anything. Okay, so frequently this specification is in terms of fixed cost or initial overhead. That is the cost when X equal to 0, C of 0 equal to K, where K is the fixed cost. Okay, so it's different from revenue, where revenue we will have 0 revenue when we didn't sell anything, but for cost we will have the fixed cost. Okay, let's see example 2. Marginal cost function of unit produced X is given by C prime X equal to 1.064 minus 0.005X. Find the total cost function if fixed cost is Rm 16 ringgit 30 cent. Okay, so we don't know what is this fixed cost for, but we know the total cost function if fixed cost, find the total cost if fixed cost is equal to Rm 16 ringgit 30 cent. So fixed cost means that when we didn't sell anything, so X equal to 0, the fixed cost is 16.3. Okay, so we have the cost function. We can find out by integrating the marginal function, marginal cost function. So we need to integrate the marginal cost function. Here is 1.064 minus 0.005x. And then integrate, we will get an indefinite function. So we have 1.064x minus 0.005x squared over 2. So this is actually 0.005x squared over 2. So that's why we get 0.0025x squared. So you can find out by using calculator directly lah. You don't have to put over 2 after you find out what is 0.005 over 2. And then plus with k. So this k we can find out by using the fixed cost. So what is fixed cost? It's C0 equal to 16.3. So substitute x equal to 0 into the C cost function. So 1.064 multiplied by 0 minus 0.0025 multiplied by 0 square plus k equal to 16.3. So everything here will be 0. So k equal to 16.3. So the cost function, the total cost function is equal to Cx equal to 1.064x minus 0.0025x squared plus k, which is 16.3. So this is the difference between cost function and revenue function. So market equilibrium point. So this is the second learning outcome. So what is market equilibrium point? So the point of intersection. So we have here intersection of demand curve and the supply curve is called equilibrium point. So what is demand curve? What is supply curve? So the coordinate of market equilibrium point is x0, y0. So we present it in a form of point. So that's why we have x0 and y0. So y0 is the price at which producer is willing to supply, and x0 is the quantity of the good purchased by the consumer and supplied by the producer. Okay? So the quantity, x is the quantity, y is the price. Okay? This equilibrium condition is expressed by the equation dx equal to sx. So what is dx? What is sx? D is demand, S is supply. So this is our price function for demand. This is our price function for supply. So the intersection point, which is here, is the market equilibrium point. Okay, this point x0, y0 is the market equilibrium point. So above of the point on y-axis is the consumer surplus, and then the right side, so below the market equilibrium point is the producer surplus. Okay, so we have this region. So let's see example 3. The demand function is P equal to D of x equal to 16 minus x squared, where P is the price in Rm and x is the quantity demanded. The supply function as x equal to 2x plus 1, where P denotes the unit's price in Rm and x is the quantity that the supplier will put on the market. Okay, so demand function is what the consumer wants. They want how many quantity. So let's say the demand is increasing. So this is what we call, they want more, let's say. Or they don't want the thing. So the quantity will be lesser. But for supply function is depend on the supplier. How many quantity they want to put on market. So find the market equilibrium point. That is the first question. And the second question is to sketch the graph for demand and supply curve. And then shade and label the region that represent the consumer surplus and producer surplus. Okay, so first of all, need to find the market equilibrium point. So how to find market equilibrium point? What is the way to find the market equilibrium point? We just have to equate the demand and surplus equation, supply equation. So what is our dx? Dx is equal to 16 minus x squared. Sx is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay, so now we just have to solve this equation to find what is the value of x. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 15 equal to 0. So rearrange everything, make sure that we have the x squared is positive. It's easier for you guys. And then factorize. So for 15 we have 5, 3. So minus 5 minus 3, minus 3 plus 5. So our x will be equal to 3 and x equal to negative 5. Okay, now how do we choose the value of x? Okay, so to choose the value of x, we need to use the positive value, which is x equal to 3. So x cannot be negative. Products cannot be negative. So the solution is x equal to 3. Then what is y? So y, we can either use demand function or supply function. So for y naught, we can find out by substituting into sx or dx. Either one lah. So substitute 3 into the function. We have 2 of 3 plus 1, which is equal to 7. So the market equilibrium point is equal to 3, 7. So this is the point. Okay, now let's see how do we answer the question B. So sketch the graph. So we have dx and sx. First, sketch the graph 16 minus x squared. So usually we just take the positive part. Why? Because we have positive quantity. So for demand function is a quadratic, but it's a set function because the negative sign. And then we know it will intercept at 4 and negative 4 for x, right? So we know it will be intercept at 4. So here will be 4. And then when x equal to 0, the intercept here is 16. Okay, now we have the demand function. But for the supply function is a linear function, 2x plus 1. We can take any points. So let's say for the x-intercept will be, y-intercept will be 1. So we can take the value 4. When x equal to 4, y equal to 2 of 4 plus 1, which is equal to 9. So actually here will be around 9. Okay, so we have this curve for demand and straight line for the supply. Now, the intersection point, we will have the, yes, the market equilibrium point. So we have to label the market equilibrium point 3, 7. And then now we need to determine the region for the producer surplus and consumer surplus. So above the market equilibrium point, it will be the consumer surplus. The consumer willing to pay to get the products. And then below the market equilibrium point, it will be the producer surplus. The price that they are willing to give to sell the product. Okay, so just label the CS and PS on the graph. Don't forget to label the function itself, and then market equilibrium point, and then the intercept and the CSPS. Okay, so that's for example number 3. Okay, now let's continue with the consumer surplus region. So what is consumer surplus region? So suppose the P is the price for the consumer willing to pay for a quantity X of a particular goods. The demand curve can be written as P of dx. In general, the demand curve is decreasing function. If the market price is Y naught, then the corresponding market demand is X naught, then those consumers who would be willing to pay more than this market price gain from the fact that the price is only Y naught. Okay, so means that the consumer that willing to pay more will be gaining profit. Not profits like, wow, I pay lesser than I thought. That is what the consumer willing to pay lah, if they are in the region of CS. The total consumer gain is represented by the area below the demand curve and above the line Y equal to Y naught, and is known as consumer surplus CS. Okay, consumer surplus CS is the total amount consumer would be willing to spend and the actual consumer expenditure. So the actual consumer expenditure is actually the Y naught itself. Okay, so which is equal to what is the total price that they are willing to pay, and then minus the actual consumer expenditure. So this is the block 1 here is the consumer will the actual consumer expenditure. So they are willing to pay this one, but what they actually pay is only this, because that is the market equilibrium point. So consumer surplus can be found out by finding the integration of the demand function. So this is the demand function, right? It's decreasing the demand function from 0 to X naught. integration from 0 to x naught only, and then minus with the block here. What is this block? This is in the form of sorry, not cubic, it's a square, not square, it's a empat segi, right? So we can just multiply between x naught and y naught. So this is the formula for consumer surplus. How many consumer surplus? Okay. Example. Let's see the example in finding consumer surplus. Suppose the consumer's demand function for a certain commodity is given by Px equal to dx equal to 20 minus 0.5x, where P is the unit price in Rm and x is the quantity demanded. Find the consumer surplus if the commodity is sold at market price equal to Rm 8 per unit. So this is actually the market equilibrium point, the Y naught. Why? The price is equal to Rm 8 ringgit, but we don't know what is x naught. We need to find what is x first. Sketch the demand curve. The second question is to sketch the demand curve. So first of all, what we need to find, what is the consumer surplus? So consumer surplus, we know y naught is equal to 8. The price that the market will be in the market is y naught. So integrate from 0 to x naught. This is a formula, right? To find the consumer surplus, integrate from 0 to x naught of the demand. So we have the demand function respect to x minus x naught y naught. What we don't have is x naught. So we need to find what is the x naught first. So to find the x naught, we know the demand function already. So the demand is 8 ringgit. So what is the x? We can find the demand by using the value of y naught. So we have y naught equal to 8. So what is x naught? So it will be negative 0.5x minus equal to negative 12. So 8 divided by negative 20, divided by 20. Sorry, not divide. It's bring to the right side. So minus 20 will be negative 12. So x will be 24. So this is the quantity that will be selling on the market. So x naught is equal to 24. Now we just have to integrate from 0 to 24 of the demand function, which is 20 minus 0.5x respect to x, and minus with x naught y naught, which is 24 multiplied by 8. So integrate. This is a definite integral. A definite integral because we have the limit. So we just have to substitute the value. So integrate 20 minus 0.5x, we get 20x minus 0.25x square from 0 to 24, and then 24 multiplied by 8 is equal to 192. So find out this value, substitute 24 and 0. So 0 will be 0 lah. So 20 multiplied 24 minus 0.25 multiplied by 24 square minus 0. So we get 144. So this is the consumer surplus. So we can conclude that the consumer surplus is equal to RM144. So they will gain RM144 if they're willing to pay actually more than the market equilibrium price. Okay. So for question B, sketch the demand curve. So we have 20 minus 0.5x. So just sketch, it is a straight line, right, with a negative. So when x equal to 0, we get 20. So it will be intercept at 20 here. And then here, when y equal to 0, we get 20 divided by 0.5. So it's 40. Okay, this is 40. And then we know that the market equilibrium point is equal to 24, 8. So this is market equilibrium point. So we can label it's 24, 8 here. Okay, so this is our graph, the demand curve. So that's all. You don't have to sketch the supply curve because they didn't give you and they didn't ask you. So just sketch the demand curve. So actually the supply, the consumer surplus will be around here lah. This is our consumer surplus. Okay, so we can just label lah. Where is the consumer surplus? It will be above the y equal to y naught line. This is y naught line. Y naught equal to 8. Okay, so how about producer surplus region? Okay, so earlier it's demand. So demand it's related to the customer. So the customer is our consumer. Now, the producer surplus will be related to the supply function. Okay, so in free market economy, there are also times when some producer willing to sell at a price below the market price. Then the consumer actually pays. So maybe they want to do uh, sale or to promote their products, right? So they're willing to pay below than the market price. The benefit of this, the producer, that is the difference between the revenue producer actually receive and what they would have been willing to receive is called the producer surplus. Okay, so they are actually receive the benefit that is they're willing to they're willing to sell lesser than the market price actually, so they will gaining more lah. So producer surplus is equal to PS, sorry, not CS, it's PS. So actually revenue received by the producers minus with the total amount producer will be willing to receive. Okay, so this is our supply function. Okay, this is our SX, right? And then we will have the market equilibrium point. So actually they're willing to they're willing to sell at the lower price, not the market equilibrium point. Okay, but now this area below the market equilibrium point will be called as the producer surplus. Okay, PS. So how to find this producer surplus? So we know that this area is in the form of square or rectangle. Okay, and then this is the actual revenue that will be received by producer. So we just have to subtract with the actual amount that received by using the supply function. Okay, so we find the area here using the supply function SX. So to find the producer surplus, which is PX, we just have to find the X naught, Y naught, the market equilibrium point, the rectangle by the market equilibrium point, the price with the quantity that we need to sell, minus with integration of supply function respect to X from 0 to X naught. This is 0, this is X naught. So we have the limit from 0 to X naught. So respect to X like this lah. So the difference with the consumer surplus, it's on the supply function. Here we have market equilibrium point, MEP, minus the integration of supply function. For the consumer surplus, we integrate the demand function minus with the market equilibrium point. So let's see example 5. So find the producer surplus at the price level of RM7 ringgit for the supply equation SX equal to 2X plus 1. Okay, so what is the RM7 ringgit? So what is the, we need to find the producer surplus, right? So producer surplus, we have, it's given that RM7 ringgit is the price, right? So what is the price? The price is when we sell the X units. So we can find what is the X by using the supply function. So to find the producer surplus, the formula is X naught, Y naught minus the integration of 0 to X naught of XX respect to X. So now we have Y naught already, which is 7. What we don't have is the X naught. So we need to find the X naught. So to find the X naught, we can either using supply or demand function. But what we have here is supply function. So we can equate the supply function by 7 because the price is equal to 7. So 2x plus 1 equal to 7. So 2x is equal to 3. 2x equal to 6. So x is equal to 3. So this is our X naught, the market equilibrium, X naught, Y naught, X naught, Y naught. Okay, so 3, 7. So the MEP, the market equilibrium point, is equal to 3, 7. So to find the producer surplus, just substitute the value into the function of producer surplus, which is X naught, Y naught. So 3 multiplied by 7 minus with integration of Sx respect to X. So integration from 0 to X naught. So from 0 to 3 of 2x plus 1 respect to X. So we have 21 minus integrate 2x plus 1, we get x squared plus x. And then from 0 to 3, substitute value 3, we get 3 squared plus 3, which is 9 plus 3, which is equal to 12 minus with 0. So 21 minus 12 is equal to 9. So our producer surplus is equal to RM 9 ringgit. Okay, so this is how we find out the producer surplus. So let's see some example just like in the exam paper. So example 6, the demand function and supply function in RM of a product are given by, so it's given here, dx is equal to negative x square minus 6x plus 200 and sx is equal to 4x, okay, respectively, where x is the number of unit of the product. Okay, so we use x as the units. So determine the MEP. First question. Second question is sketch two function and marks the region represent the consumer surplus and producer surplus. So to sketch and label the consumer and producer. And when the market is in equilibrium, determine the value of consumer surplus and producer surplus. So we want to find, after we label, mark the region, we need to find the value. Okay, so first let's see how to find the market equilibrium point. So to find the market equilibrium point, what we need to do is to equate the Sx and dx only. So 4x is equal to negative x squared minus 6x plus 200. So either one, dx equal to Sx or Sx equal to dx. So we have, this is x squared plus 10x minus 200 equal to 0. So factorize out, we get 20 and 10 minus 10 plus 20, right? So x minus 10, x plus 20 equal to 0. So x equal to 10 or x equal to negative 20. Since quantity cannot be negative, so we have x equal to x naught equal to 10. So what is y naught? Just substitute the value of x naught into either demand or surplus. So the easier one is supply function lah. So 10 substitute into Sx, we get 4 multiplied by 10, which is equal to 40. So the market equilibrium point is equal to 1040. Do the conclusion. So for question B, we need to sketch and mark the CSPS. So sketch the supply and demand function. So supply function for x is a positive straight line. So it will be 0 when x equal to 0, and it will be anything, we can just find out any point here lah. So it will be positive lah, 0, 0. And then for demand function is a set function because negative. So we have x equal to 0. Just find out when x equal to 0, y is equal to 200. And then it will intercept at a certain point here. It will be what? It will be, we can factorize out. Try to factorize out. If cannot, we can just let go lah. Okay, so this is our graph. So it will intercept at the MEP, the market equilibrium point. So we have the market equilibrium point 1040. So we can label x equal to 10 and x equal to 40. So this is our y naught. This is our x naught. Okay, so now the next question, they ask you to label the consumer surplus region and the producer surplus region. So consumer surplus, it should be above the y naught equal to 40, and the producer surplus should be below the y naught equal to 40. Okay, so this is our label CS and PS. So done for question B. Question C, they ask you to find what is the consumer surplus and what is the producer surplus, right? So for the consumer surplus, the formula is CS equal to integration of the dx respect to x, which is negative x squared minus cx plus 200 from 0 to x naught, which is 10, and then subtract with x naught y naught, which is 10 multiplied by 40. So integrate the negative x squared minus 6x plus 200, we get negative x cubed over 3. Oh, they didn't calculate. So for producer surplus, what is the formula? PS is equal to in x naught y naught first. So 10 multiplied by 40 minus the integration of the Sx, which is 4x from 0 to x naught, which is 10. So find out the answer for both C1 and C2. For C1, integrate negative x squared minus 6x plus 200, we get negative x cubed over 3 minus 3x squared plus 200x from 0 to 10 minus 400. So for this one, we just substitute 10 because substitute 0 will be 0, right? So we get negative 1000 over 3 minus 3 of 100 plus 200 multiplied by 10 minus 0 minus 400, which is equal to RM 966.67. So we need to put in form of RM. Actually, we will get over 3, right? So we need to put in point because it's in RM. The unit is RM here. And then for the producer surplus, so it's 10 multiplied by 40, which is 400, minus integrate 4x, we get 2x squared from 0 to 10. So substitute 10 and 0, we get 400 minus 2 of 10 squared minus 0 squared. So 10 squared is 100, so multiply by 2 is 200. So 400 minus 200 is equal to 200. So the producer surplus is equal to RM 200. So that's all for this topic 3. So we have learned for the application in business and economic, which is, yes, we learn how to find the market equilibrium point if we supply by the supply function and demand function. And then we can determine which part is the consumer surplus and which part is the producer surplus. Remember, consumer must be related to the customer. So the customer must be related to the demand function. What customer demand? So it will be the consumer surplus. Okay, they consume, the customer consume, so they want to demand what? Okay, but for the producer surplus is must related to the producer, which is the supplier, so it will be the supply function. Okay, please remember that. Okay, so that's all for this lecture. We can continue with tutorial number 2. Okay, so see you guys on Friday at 8 p.m. Thank you.